Mom and sister tried to push me back with my ex for years. But I married my wife, had a baby, and cut them off for good. I was 16 the first time I kissed her. Her name was Lily. She was my older brother Nate's best friend, 2 years older than me, sharp as hell, with a quick laugh and a quiet intensity that made everyone pay attention when she spoke. We'd grown up in the same small town in Ohio, where people fell in love at bonfires and broke up behind the bleachers. Back then, I was just Nate's tag-along little brother. But Lily, she saw something in me. I don't know if it was real or if she just needed someone to shape into her next project, but whatever it was, I was hooked. We started sneaking around that summer. I'd bike to her house at night, and we'd lie under the stars talking about everything and nothing until our fingers were numb and the mosquitoes were unbearable. We dated through the rest of high school for years of teenage intensity, of promises we didn't understand, of fights that felt like the end of the world. By the time I graduated, she was already out of school, working at the local pharmacy and taking night classes at the community college. I thought we'd drift apart. But then she proposed. No ring, no big speech, just her, sitting across from me in the booth at Angelo's, asking me to marry her like she was offering to split the check. And I said no. I said it gently. I said it with love. But it didn't matter. The moment the word left my mouth, everything fractured. She didn't scream or cry. She just stared at me like I'd pulled the floor out from under her. By the time I dropped her off that night, she was already rewriting the story. She was the one who ended it. She needed space. She was too grown up for me anyway. But back home, the fallout hit hard. My mom was devastated. She's like family, she said, eyes red as she peeled carrots for dinner. You two were perfect. My sister, Rachel, who was 12 at the time, looked at me like I'd killed Cinderella. Why would you hurt Lily? She whispered. She's supposed to be my sister. It didn't matter how I explained it. I was the villain. Lily was the girl everyone adored, the hometown fairy tale, the one who had waited for me. To them, I'd thrown her away for no reason. I packed for college a week later and left as fast as I could. But I should have known it wouldn't be that easy. Even after I moved to Cincinnati for school, Lily never really left. My sister stayed obsessed with our love story, cutting pictures of us out of old photo albums and pinning them to her corkboard. By the time she was 16, she was dating Lily's younger brother, Dylan, like it was all meant to be. Every holiday, every birthday, every family barbecue, there Lily was, smiling across the table like nothing had ever changed. She'd help my mom in the kitchen, joke with my dad, pull Rachel aside for little secret chats. It was like I was the only one who didn't get the script. I never brought it up, never made a scene. I just smiled, hugged, and counted the minutes until I could leave. But every year, I felt the news tighten, one thread at a time. Studying abroad wasn't part of the plan, not originally. But when my academic advisor told me about the one-year exchange program in Barcelona, something clicked. I needed distance, and not just the physical kind. I needed a life where Lily and my family's obsession with her didn't follow me around like a shadow. It was there, in a shared architecture studio at a partner university, that I met Elena. She was from Oregon, attending a different school back in the States, with a laugh that came easily and a confidence that didn't demand attention. We weren't in the same program. She was studying art history, but we kept bumping into each other at the local cafe near campus. It started with shared coffee orders, then long walks after class, then lazy Sunday mornings spent tracing the tile patterns on cathedral floors and pretending we understood them better than we did. What we had felt, quiet. In a good way. Like breathing clean air after years in a smoke-filled room. By the time the school year was winding down, I knew I didn't want to let her go. We got engaged under a broken streetlight in the Gothic Quarter. No ring, no big gesture. Just the two of us, sitting on a stone bench, and me saying, I don't want to do the next part without you. She said yes like she'd been waiting for me to ask. Bringing her home was the part one dreaded. But I didn't want to keep her a secret. I was done hiding the good things in my life. To their credit, my parents were polite. My mom fussed over her. My dad told his same bad jokes, and Rachel said hi with a tight smile, then sat in the corner scrolling through her phone. That night, while Elena and my mom were washing dishes, Rachel cornered me in the hallway. She's nice, she said, voice flat. But we all know this is just her Europe phase. I blinked. What are you talking about? She's a vacation bubble, she said, like she was stating a fact. You'll come home, remember what you had with Lily, and this thing will fade. I laughed short and dry. I'm marrying her. Rachel shrugged. You still could have told Lily in person. From then on, every visit back was a minefield. At Thanksgiving, Rachel invited Lily accidentally. At my birthday dinner, she sat us next to each other and acted surprised. One Christmas, she made matching gingerbread cookies of me and Lily and set them on the mantel. Even my mom looked uncomfortable. I tried to keep the peace. I didn't want to ruin the holidays, didn't want to make things harder for Elena. But after New Year's, when we caught Rachel whispering to Lily in the kitchen, something about still time, and he's confused, I snapped. The next day, I pulled Rachel aside. You do this again, I said, and you won't see me at all. No birthdays. No holidays. No baby showers. Nothing. She rolled her eyes, but she heard me. I think for the first time, she actually believed I meant it. Because I did. We kept the wedding small on purpose. Elena and I wanted it intimate, just close friends, a few cousins, and our parents. We chose a botanical garden outside of Asheville, soft light strung through the trees, handwritten vows, and no drama. That was the goal. Rachel made the guest list by default, but we didn't give her a role. Not after the stunts she pulled. I thought keeping her at arm's length would be enough. I underestimated her. 3 days before the wedding, my phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. Hope it's okay. I added a few familiar faces to the pre-dinner seating. Lily's free this weekend, thought it'd be nice for her to reconnect with everyone. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Elena was beside me, flipping through our ceremony printouts. You okay? I showed her the message. Her face tightened. You've got to be kidding me. We agreed not to respond. Not yet. Maybe it was just a threat. It wasn't. At the welcome dinner, Lily walked in wearing a champagne-colored dress, not bridal white, but close enough to raise eyebrows. My cousin looked at me, confused. She in the bridal party? Apparently, yes. Rachel had slipped her onto the bridesmaid list by helping with the coordinator's emails. She even paired her with me for the rehearsal dinner seating chart. And the toast? I didn't even see that one coming. After Elena's father gave his warm, heartfelt speech, Rachel clinked her glass and stood. We have a surprise toast, she said sweetly. Someone who's known the groom almost his whole life. Lily stood, smiling like she'd just been crowned homecoming queen. I wasn't planning to speak, she began, but love has a funny way of circling back. Some people think it ends when the relationship ends. But real love? Real love stays. And sometimes, if you're lucky, it finds its way home. The room was silent. I looked at Elena. Her jaw was locked tight. The worst part? Lily wasn't even the final act. At the reception, Rachel had brought Lily a +1. A guy named Shane, apparently, who got drunk halfway through the evening and cornered Elena by the drinks table. I don't know how you pulled him, he slurred, leaning too close. Guy like that? Thought he'd end up with someone a little more. Elena stepped back. More what? He smiled. More local. That was it. She found me 20 minutes later, tears in her eyes, asking me one question. Is this who your family really is? We didn't even finish the cake. We left before the dancing started. On the drive back to the cabin, I called my parents. If she ever shows up to another event, Rachel or Lily, we won't be there, I said. Not for Thanksgiving. Not for anything. Silence. Then my mom said, maybe Rachel just got carried away. No, I said. She's been dragging this fantasy out for years. And she just humiliated my wife on our wedding day. We're done. And that night, for the first time in my life, I blocked my sister's number. Permanently. We spent our wedding night in silence, holding hands in bed, staring at the ceiling. I whispered, I'm sorry. Elena turned to me. I soft. I married you. Not them. Still, I made a vow to myself that night. I would never let my family ruin her peace again. And I meant it. For years passed like a blink. Elena and I moved to Raleigh, got a little craftsman house with squeaky floorboards and a porch swing. Our marriage was solid, built on routines and quiet evenings, the kind that most people overlook but never forget once they're gone. We worked hard. We traveled. We lived. When we found out Elena was pregnant, it was raining. I was fixing a leaky faucet in the bathroom, and she walked in holding a little white stick, shaking, laughing, crying all at once. We're having a baby, she whispered. A girl. It didn't feel real until the sonogram. Or maybe not even then. Maybe it hit when I called my mom on her birthday. And instead of the usual awkward small talk, I said, we're expecting. She gasped. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. Rachel was in the background. I could hear her. Ask if they're using the middle name we talked about. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. 2 days later, Mom asked to meet for coffee. Just a peaceful chat, she promised. Just me. Elena warned me not to go. Your mom never does just anything, she said. But I thought maybe, just maybe, they were trying. So I went. I should have trusted my wife. The moment I walked into the little cafe off Glenwood, I knew I'd been set up. My mother sat at the table with a coffee and a carefully neutral smile. And next to her, Rachel. Across from them, Lily. And beside Lily, her mom. I froze in the doorway. Rachel beamed. Hey, we just thought it was time. Lily didn't stand. She just smiled like this was all inevitable. Congratulations, by the way. A baby girl, that's huge. I turned to leave. Please, my mom said, standing. Just give us 10 minutes. For the baby's sake. I didn't sit. I didn't need to. Rachel jumped in like she'd rehearsed it. We just want to clear the air. You've made your point. But this bitterness, this distance, it's hurting everyone. My jaw tightened. You ambushed me with my ex and her mother. On my mom's birthday. It's not about that anymore, Lily added, soft and poised. We've all grown. We want to move forward. You want access, I snapped. You want to plant the seed that maybe, just maybe, she's still in the picture. That this family, your version of it, isn't finished. Come on, Rachel said. You're having a daughter. Don't you want her to grow up surrounded by love? I took a long look at all of them. The fake empathy, the manipulative smiles, the staged reconciliation. Then I pulled out my phone and hit send. One mass email. BCC'd to every person at that table, including my parents. Attached, a formal notice from my lawyer, declaring that from this day forward, Rachel and Lily were to have no contact with me, my wife, or our child. Any attempts would be handled legally. The subject line read, Final boundaries, no contact enforcement. I watched their faces shift as their phones buzzed in sync. Rachel looked up first, face flushed. You're kidding. I'm not, I said. This isn't a warning. This is the end. You're punishing us because we believe in something real, Lily whispered. I met her eyes. You believed in a version of me that never existed. And I let you. I turned to my mother last. You knew what this was. And you let them blindside me. For the baby's sake? Stay away. I walked out. Didn't even finish the coffee I'd ordered. By the time I got home, Elena had already seen the email on our shared account. She looked up from the couch with tired eyes and just said, Thank you. That night, I slept better than I had in years. I thought the worst was over once the email went out. I had drawn the line. I had made it clear. Rachel and Lily were done being part of our lives. But cutting off toxic people doesn't end things. It just exposes who was enabling them the whole time. The fallout started that weekend. My dad showed up unannounced at our front door. Elena was napping, the dog asleep at her feet. I stepped outside before he could ring the bell. He looked older, more tired than I remembered. I left, he said, not bothering with hello. I moved out last night. I stared at him, confused. You what? I told your mom I'm not doing it anymore. The lying. The pretending. I should have said something years ago. I didn't say anything. Just nodded once and let him sit on the porch bench. We didn't talk for long. He just asked if he could be part of his granddaughter's life when the time came. I want to do it right this time, he said quietly. I told him he could come around once we were ready. He thanked me and drove off with his old work boots on the dashboard. Later that week, my brother, Nate, called. We hadn't spoken much since his wedding, the one where Lily was seated next to me like some cosmic joke. I owe you an apology, he said. I raised an eyebrow, already bracing. I let Rachel get in my head. For years, I backed her up even when I knew she was being manipulative. I didn't want to rock the boat. You didn't, I said flatly. You just watched me sink. He was quiet for a moment. I'd like to start fixing that. I didn't forgive him then, but I didn't hang up either. The thing about standing up for yourself is that people either respect your boundary or try to tear it down. Rachel spiraled. She started texting our cousins, mutual friends, even Elena's old college roommate. The story kept changing. In one version, Elena had isolated me from my family. In another, I was having some sort of breakdown. According to one post on her Instagram story, which someone screenshotted for me, I was being manipulated by a woman who wanted to erase his past. I stayed quiet until one of Elena's co-workers pulled her aside at work and said, Hey, your sister-in-law's saying some pretty weird stuff on Facebook. That was the last straw. I sat down that night and wrote everything. The whole story. From the night Lily proposed in high school, to Rachel's stunts over the years, to the wedding sabotage and the ambush at the cafe. I detailed every manipulative play, every time my boundaries were violated, every moment my wife was made to feel like an intruder in her own life. Then I posted it publicly. No names, just facts. And I left the comment section open. It spread faster than I expected. Friends, former classmates, even extended relatives I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me privately, saying they believed me, that they were sorry, that they'd noticed things too. Rachel deleted her accounts 2 days later. Lily kept hers up, but went silent. And for the first time, I wasn't defending myself anymore. I was just telling the truth. For a while, things were quiet. The public post had done its job. Rachel disappeared from social media, Lily stayed silent, and my mother went eerily still. No emails, no texts, no apologies. I let myself believe it was over. Elena and I spent our evenings getting the nursery ready, painting the walls a soft green, arguing over animal decals, folding tiny onesies that didn't look like they could fit a human being. We were healing, laughing again, feeling normal for the first time in months. Then one Saturday, we came home from running errands to find our front door unlocked. My stomach dropped. Elena reached for my hand, already whispering, Did you leave it open? I don't think so, I said, my voice tight. We stepped inside cautiously. I remember the smell of bleach, like someone had just cleaned. At first, I thought maybe the cleaning service had come early. Then I heard it. Laughter. Clinking dishes. We turned the corner into the kitchen, and there they were. My mother and Rachel, standing at our kitchen island, drinking coffee, like it was a Sunday brunch, and they lived there. My mother looked up and smiled like we'd walked in late to our own dinner. "Oh, sweetheart, you're home." Elena froze. "What the hell is this?" Rachel rolled her eyes. "Relax. The cleaning lady let us in. We just wanted to talk." I stepped in front of Elena instinctively. "You broke into our house." "Don't be dramatic," my mom said, setting down her mug. "It's still your childhood home." "It's not," I said sharply. "It hasn't been since we bought it." My blood was boiling. I could feel Elena's hand tighten around mine. Rachel spoke up. "We figured this was the only way to get through to you. You've been avoiding us." "I've been avoiding being emotionally waterboarded by you and your circus of denial," I said. This is insane." Just then, Elena staggered slightly. Her free hand gripped the edge of the counter. I turned to her. "You okay?" She nodded, barely, but her face had gone pale. We left immediately, drove straight to the hospital. The baby was okay, but the doctor didn't sugarcoat it. "You need to eliminate stress, Mrs. Daniels," he said gently. "At this point in your pregnancy, any elevated heart rate, panic, or anxiety can affect blood pressure. You need peace." Peace. Something we hadn't had since we got engaged. We got home that night and found my dad waiting in the driveway, arms crossed. "I heard what happened," he said. "I didn't even get a word out before he started. I told them they were on thin ice," he said. "But this." He looked genuinely shaken. "They crossed a line. I want them gone," I said. "For good." He nodded slowly. "They're gone from me too." "What do you mean?" "I filed for divorce yesterday," he said. "I already moved into a rental down the road. You want help building a fence around this house? I'll pay for it myself." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. He was finally doing what I'd begged him to do for years, choosing peace over performance. Later that night, while Elena slept with her hand on her belly, I looked out at the backyard and thought about what it meant to protect something. You don't just say the words. You prove it. Even if it means cutting out the people who once called themselves family. It happened on a Tuesday. Elena was brushing our dog, Moose, after his morning walk. I was in the kitchen making oatmeal when I heard her call my name. Not urgent, not panicked, just sharp. Focused. "Babe," she said. "What's this?" I walked over and found her holding Moose's vest in her hand. There, sewn carefully into the lining near the chest strap, was a small black device, round, flat, and unmistakably out of place. At first, I didn't register what it was. Then it hit me. "A tracker," I said, the words dry in my throat. Elena just stared at it. "Who the hell would it?" She didn't finish. She didn't need to. We both knew. Only one person had ever been that obsessive, that manipulative, that close. Rachel. The wave of fury hit me slow, like a delayed burn. I took the vest from Elena and pried the device out. GPS small battery. Still blinking green. "She's been tracking us," I said, my voice flat. "For how long?" Elena asked. "I don't know. Long enough to know where we moved. We'd left our old place a month earlier, right after the hospital incident. Quietly. New address. No forwarding info. No social media posts. Just gone. But somehow she still found us. Moose had worn that vest during every walk since the move. I checked the cameras. Nothing obvious. Whoever dropped it off or picked it up must have waited until the house was empty or used someone else to place it. I wanted to call the police, but Elena shook her head. "No reports," she said, her voice cold. "No confrontations. We move again. And this time, we lock it down." So we did. We called a moving company that specialized in high-security relocations, the kind that worked with witnesses and celebrities. We changed our numbers. Switched to encrypted messaging apps. Bought a home security system that would make a doomsday prepper jealous. Then we bought a house outside of town. Quiet. Gated. With a guest house out back. That's where my dad moved in. He sold his rental and asked if he could stay close, help with the baby. I didn't hesitate. After everything, he'd earned it. "I'll stay out of the way," he said as we moved his things in. "I just want to be nearby. Just in case." It was the kind of support I never thought I'd see from him. And I knew, deep down, he was making up for years of silence. Years of letting my mom and Rachel run the show. One night, sitting on our back porch, I asked him what finally made him walk away. "When I saw Rachel in your kitchen that day," he said, staring into his coffee, "and your wife standing there shaking. I saw your mother. I saw every time I let her push people too far. I'm not proud of that." "You left," I said. "That counts." He nodded. "It does. And I'm not going back." We tightened everything after that. Security cameras. Panic codes. A lawyer on retainer just in case. Every babysitter vetted. Every package checked. Rachel sent a final email a week later. "I just wanted to be part of her life," it read. "You're taking that away." I didn't reply. Then, a month after that, Lily made a mistake. She posted online vague, angry, lashing out. Something about fake fathers and keeping secrets. She made it sound like the baby wasn't mine. Elena showed me the post. Quiet. Calm. She's trying to stir things up, she said. I screenshotted it and forwarded it to a friend of mine at a law firm downtown. 2 weeks later, Lily lost her job. HR had been tagged in the post. Gossip wasn't protected speech, especially not when it involved slander. That was the final blow. Not from me, from karma. And from then on, the silence held. We were safe. Finally, our daughter arrived in the early hours of a quiet Sunday morning. No drama. No surprise visits. Just a long, painful labor followed by the sweetest, most surreal silence I've ever heard. The kind only broken by her first shaky cry and the sudden, overwhelming rush of love I didn't even know I was holding back. We named her June, after Elena's grandmother. Small, perfect, and absolutely nothing like the ghosts we'd spent years trying to outrun. Holding her in my arms, I finally understood what peace felt like. The months that followed were sleepless and beautiful. Diapers and warm bottles. Tiny socks and late-night walks through the hall with a baby curled against my chest. Our world had shrunk, but in the best possible way. Everything that mattered was inside those walls. People who once judged us from a distance slowly came around. Old cousins, family friends, the ones who used to parrot Rachel's soulmate nonsense, began reaching out with a different tone. They'd seen the full story now. The wedding sabotage, the home intrusion, the tracker. None of it was opinion anymore. It was evidence. You were right to cut them off, one aunt wrote. We just didn't see it at the time. That was enough. We didn't need apologies. Just acknowledgement. And now, people were finally saying the quiet part out loud. That sometimes, the only way to build something healthy is to burn down what came before it. My father, true to his word, stayed in the guest house. He became grandpa, changed diapers, cooked breakfast. He met June before anyone else, and she adored him. Sometimes I'd catch him watching her sleep in her bassinet, a mix of guilt and wonder on his face. He never said much about the past, but he showed up every single day, and that said enough. Eventually, he started dating again. A woman named Carla, owner of a small floral shop downtown. She was kind, funny, and firm in the way good people are. One day, I saw her teaching June how to press daisies between pages of a book. I knew then he was going to be okay, but not everyone moved on. We started hearing things about Rachel's son. He was older now, and angry. Raised on a story where I was the villain, his Aunt Elena was the homewrecker, and his mom was the noble truth-teller cast out for loving too deeply. He started messaging people, commenting on old Facebook posts, trying to stir up sympathy with half-truths and recycled lies. Then he left something on our mailbox. A note, folded neatly and taped shut. Inside, a photo of Rachel holding my daughter's birth announcement, ripped down the middle. I showed it to my father. He made one call and pulled every ounce of financial support he'd still been sending to Rachel's household. Housing assistance. Groceries. Gone. If she wants to raise him in bitterness, he said, she can do it without my help. We added cameras to the front yard. Told daycare to expect no visitors but us or Grandpa. Then we kept going. Because we had everything we needed. A home full of love. A daughter who would never grow up around guilt-wrapped manipulation. A future that belonged only to us. Sometimes Elena would ask if I wanted another. Sometimes I'd ask about adoption. And we'd smile because now, whatever came next, we'd be ready. Together. Always.